Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're going to talk about badass heroines. So today's video is brought to you by myself as well as 19 other kick-ass women on BookTube. We were brought together by Beccie from @BexRead, who said, hey, I'd like to get a group of us to discuss badass heroine in fiction books, why we love them, what we'd recommend, and what is our definition of a badass heroine. So of course I said, let me jump on this. Let me give you a little bit of a taste of what I consider to be a badass heroine. And usually that's going to be someone who is a fighter, whether they're fighting for their freedom, fighting for revenge, fighting for the love of their lives, or just fighting because that's their natural inclination. That is my definition of a badass heroine. So I've got a stack of books here to talk to you about today that is going to collect and comprise of badass heroines in fantasy, in sci-fi, in romance, and of course a little bit of dark romance. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and kick off this video talking about something that's a little bit unhinged and uncharacteristic. Is going to be talking about badass heroines that are the villains in their story. So I personally love a good dark romance, a good villain, a woman who is unapologetic in terms of getting her revenge. I've got a couple women on my list. First is the one that is on my TBR that I have not read yet. After listening to the author speak at Steamy LitCon here recently, I said I have to put this high on my TBR and I have to talk about it in the video because why miss an opportunity? And that's going to be Marie Maravilla's Toxic Paradise. This is a trilogy that only has 2 books out currently. All of her female main characters are unhinged and unapologetically badass heroines. So the first being the skeleton of societies, you have Ryan. Ryan is a hit woman for the cartel. And what she does is she goes through and handles the dirty work, right? So she said blood was always destined to be on her hands. She is going to make a name for herself in the cartel, and she is going to take out the men that deserve to be on her list. Why is it always the guys who can be dark and who can be forgiven for all of their past and all of their mistakes and all of the wrong they do in the world? Why isn't that women can truly be who they want to be? And even if that is being someone in the cartel and taking people out, do so in a way that you take honor and you take pride in the work that you're doing. And being a badass woman in a cartel takes a lot of strength, because in this book, what I hear is that most of the time she's overlooked, and she's also believed that they can take advantage of her. And she shows the men that she is a force to be reckoned with. And I'm so excited to have a signed copy of this and to be able to put it on this list, because truly the way in which Marie talks about her women, I can tell that they're badass heroines that need to be read. And I didn't want to miss the opportunity of having it in this video, even though I haven't read from it yet. If you want a recommendation similar to this that I have read from, I'm going to tell you to pick up the Mindfuck series by St. Abby. If you have not heard of Lana from the Mindfuck series, I encourage you to go ahead and pick it up, because it has a similar plot without the cartel piece. Lana is a serial unaliver who is on a revenge plot. She had something that was traumatic done to her in her past, and she has a hit list of all the men that she wants to take out from the community. She wants to make sure that the things that were done to her as a young woman was never done to someone else. Oh, and let me not forget to mention, it is an opposites attract. So she is, as I stated, a serial unaliver, but she is dating an FBI agent. And it just so happens that this FBI agent is on her case and wanting to track her down. Now, Lana is badass in the fact that not only is she successfully taking out these men, and even the FBI can't stop her, she is quick and smart thinking enough to be able to say, I am a small, petite woman. Let me dress up as though I am a 6-foot man that I am weighing over 250 pounds, and let me throw them off my trail. And for that, kudos to you, Lana, because not only are you getting the job done, but you're out playing the FBI, and then you're getting the guy. Can't be any more badass than that. If you want to take a journey into the fantasy side, a villain that is a badass heroine that has to be respected, whether you appreciate what she did to get her role or not, that is going to be Aitmata from the Greenbone series by Fonda Lee. Mata is the baddest around. She is a badass heroine that believes that her spot in the Greenbone clan is deservedly hers. So one of the things about Mata is that she is the heir to her particular lineage, but because she was a woman and because the Greenbone clan is typically ran by men, most of the people felt like she didn't deserve to have the position. And so she said, I'm not gonna let that stand in my way. If you stand in my way, I'm gonna mow you down and you're going to learn the lesson the hard way. And for that, I think she's a badass heroine. On top of the fact, she is a master strategist. She is always 10 steps ahead of her opponent and uses their weaknesses to her advantages. And they never see it coming. I loved Mata, and as much as I was rooting for the other family, Hilo Call, really my bae, I was rooting for him to win in the entire trilogy. I knew at the end of the day, Mata was someone that I respected, and she was the worthy opponent. Hopping back onto something a little bit softer, I'm going to take a foray into sports romance. The first badass heroine that I'm going to tell you is Sloane from Defensive Stance by Keisha Thompson. Now, Sloane is my girl. I love that Sloane is unapologetically her. She meets her guy at a anger management class. They meet at an anger management class, and the one thing that I can appreciate about Keisha Thompson and what she did with the character in Sloane is that she let her be hot-tempered the entire way. She just chooses how she uses or wields her anger, and she uses it to protect the people that she loves. When you think about someone that is badass, they stand up for their beliefs, they stand up for the people they love, and they stand up for themselves. And one thing that Sloane is going to do is that, again, as I was stating, she uses that anger management for the force of good, and she takes her fury out and protects her boyfriend by going off on his boss when he was like, I can't do this. The manager of my basketball team is ridiculing me. She stands up and says, I don't care if you play another basketball game for these people. What I care about is the respect that you deserve. And for that, sticking up for her man it takes a strong woman to be able to do that in a room full of men that feel like they are due the respect because they have a large bank account or because they're in this high profile position. On top of that, she's badass because as a single mother, she's gone through a number of things in her history, coming from a life of crime. So you get to see that she is actually coming from prison. She comes from that history and the lifestyle of crime, but she decides that she doesn't want that for her son. And she decides to do the things that she needs to do in order to keep a roof over their head and in order for her to experience the best things in life. And that takes a strong woman to be able to change the narrative of what life has been passed down to you and the cards that you were dealt, and to be able to play those and shuffle them back out and come out on top. So if you're looking for a sports romance that has a badass heroine that is crafty with the way in which she wills her temper and her mouth, I would tell you Defensive Stand is definitely the one to pick up. Now, if you want basketball badass heroine that has some darker themes in terms of, again, trigger warning, I want to be responsible to say that this has a domestic violence stance to it, I would tell you to pick up Kennedy Ryan's Long Shots. Iris is truly a badass heroine to me. Again, another single mother, as you come to see, that has overcome being in a domestic relationship and trying to fight. She is fighting constantly for the well-being of her child, the well-being of herself, for her freedom, for her dreams and her desires. And it is a constant battle. And sometimes she does not win and she gets knocked down, but she decides to pick up and fight another day. Being a survivor and understanding what moves you need to make, be able to survive on a day-by-day basis, and to be able to set a nest fund aside and to be able to work within the people that you trust. When we think of badass heroines, I don't think that we often think of the women who are staying in relationships because they are maneuvering in the best way that they possibly can. A lot of the times when you look at situations such as this, many people may not understand that it is hard and that they are fighting. They're just fighting in a different way. You never really know what you're going to be able to do until you're in the situation. And most people will say, well, why did she decide to stay with them? And this book tells you the reason and why things happen and the way in which they happen. And so Iris is a total badass heroine to me, and I think that she deserves to be recognized as such. Now, similarly, if sports romance isn't your jam, but you are looking for a survivor and someone that is a fighter and a warrior, kind of like Iris, but you're looking for it in a sci-fi romance situation, I'm going to tell you to pick up Taken to Nobu by Elizabeth Stevens. Y'all, the joy and the love that I feel for Kiki is unmatched. I'm typically not a sci-fi girly, so for me to read Taken to Nobu, or the entire series really of the Sverry Mates, I'm going to tell you, this is stellar. This was one of the things that truly made me see and appreciate and understand what it takes to be a badass heroine through all levels of adversity. This is truly, when I tell you fighter, warrior, Kiki is literally a fighter. She has braved this planet of Nobu, who is in Iceland, and she is taken captive by what she later comes to find out is her mate, Akari. But she has experienced some traumatic things, as I stated. It has dealt with sexual assault, and in this she was assaulted by an alien. So one of the things is that she has an extreme aversion, and I would say more so prejudice towards all aliens. And it rightfully stems from the traumatic experience that she experienced. But in this, you get to see that she is working to be able to use what happened to her to empower other women. So it starts off by a captive hunt, right? So where all of the women are taken and they're placed in the hunt. And this is something that she previously experienced. So of course she is triggered by this, but she doesn't want anyone to go through what she went through with the particular alien that she was dealing with. So she teaches these women how to be cunning, how to switch clothes, and how to throw off someone's scent, how to hide, and how to fight back using some combat. And she continues to do this throughout the storyline. And so not only is she fighting for her freedom and she's fighting for her independence, but she's also teaching other women to do that as well. And I think that that is an extreme sense of badass heroine, to be able to say, I am not going to allow what happened to me to happen to other women, and I'm going to be using my platform and my power to empower others. I think that Kiki is a badass heroine because she's really doing the work in supporting other women. And I love to see that in this book and also in the other stories. So if you're looking for a badass hero in a sci-fi perspective, check out Taken to Nobu. You may want to start with Taken to Phyrexia because you get a better understanding of Kiki and her storyline. Speaking of fighters, gonna stay in with a similar theme. And again, this also has heavy content when it comes to sexual assault, but y'all know I love and stan J.L. Seegers, and so Revive Me Part 1, specifically the act. Mallory is a badass heroine. She is smart and she is accomplished. So Mallory goes to college and she is in an honors class, right? And so one of the things, in addition to the physical fighting, which we'll talk about momentarily, she is a badass heroine because she is fighting on multiple fronts. So she is in college and she is in this difficult course, and she is told that as not only her being black, but her being a woman, she is told by a professor, hey, I think that you need to drop this course. You don't deserve to be here. I think the studies are going to be too hard for you. And to see that this is happening and the suppression of the education of young women, and to see how she combats that, and she decides to put her all towards getting her degree and studying and proving the professor wrong, lets you know how badass heroine she is. When you think about that, she was probably about 18, maybe 17, for her to be able to face this and not allow someone to tell you you can't do it. That is badass heroine behavior. On top of that, she is also a victim of sexual assault. And so, but she takes that into her own hands and decides to say, okay, I am going to learn physical hand-to-hand combats. I am going to start going to self-defense class, and I'm going to use that as therapy. And I'm going to use that to make me feel confident and never experience that again. And then on top of that, when she comes into a situation with the person that assaulted her, again, she's able to realize that, you know, in that fight or flight moment, what I can do to overcome this. And I'm not that girl that I once was. Ooh, J.L. Seegers really hit it out the park with this book and all the other books, but this one in particular let me know that fighters and women are strong, and we experience things on a day-to-day basis that constantly bombard us and try to beat us down, and we can overcome them and still have a soft life and deserve love and now again, we're gonna, you know, I just talked about fighting and being able to be a badass heroine through the adversity of what you've experienced. And sometimes it's not the big bad of a man. Sometimes it can be your own people. And the reason why I say that is because this paranormal fantasy romance or paranormal romance really, that has to deal with Blair from Charming Your Dad by Sarah Blue. Blair is a kick-ass heroine. One, she is part witch, part demon. So take that as you will. That automatically gives me a little bit of an understanding of the strong sense of self that she is going to have. But as I stated, it's not always a guy. It's not always someone that is not close to you or external. Sometimes it's your own people. And in this situation, it was her entire coven, women against women. On top of that, the leader of her coven is her mother. They were all out to kill her. Let me tell you, it takes a strong woman to stand up to the village that has helped raise you and support you. In this story, you've got Blair, who is supremely powerful. Her coven doesn't really know what to do with her, but they want to siphon her power because she is more powerful than all of them combined. And so they feel like they are owed that justice and that due. And her mother is leading the charge. Again, for someone to raise you and this to be the only family that you have, because she doesn't know who her father is. She doesn't have any siblings that she knows of. For this to be the person to try to take you out, you have to be a strong woman and know that you deserve to be powerful and unapologetically so. You deserve to be present. And this book really does that for you. On top of the fact that there is revenge in terms of Blair decides to go after her ex-boyfriend's father because he decided to cheat on her. So she was like, screw it. I'm going to get my revenge. And the girl he sleeps with is one of her coven. So again, double down, brownie points for me. I'm going to take both of you all out. If you're looking for something that's funny, spoiler alert, there is a scene in which she tortures someone using a Taylor Swift song. I found this to be hilarious. But if you're looking for someone who is strong-willed, who is witty, but who knows how to fight and to be able to use the things that people have used against her to benefit her, this is one that I'm going to tell you. Again, paranormal romance. I absolutely love Blair. I love Sarah Blue for creating this. Lastly, I'm going to talk to you all about another sci-fi, which is going to be Andi Davenport's The Blood Trials. Ikenna top tier status. Ikenna is a badass heroine because she is taking on an entire branch of the military. So sci-fi situation in which her grandfather, who was the man of her life, he did everything for her. He raised her. He taught her how to fight. He's given her all the tools and steps in life. Someone has murdered him and she is out for revenge. She's out to determine. She's sleuthing and trying to figure out, why is it that someone took you from me, and what can I do to make sure that you get the justice that you deserve? And in that, she finds out a lot about herself. Ikenna has some powers, and a lot of the people that she has known and trusted and she thought had her back turned coat when she became under this investigation. And you get to see that Ikenna is badass, and not only does she infiltrate an entire part of the military, but she decides to utilize one of the things that was suppressed in her. Like I said, she has powers, which you come to figure out in the storyline, because people are trying to eradicate people with power. So not only is she trying to fight for and get the revenge of her grandfather, but she's also fighting for people like her to have a place and for them to be able to be welcome in the community and society. And I absolutely love the blood trials, and I think that if you're looking for, again, something that is sci-fi, which is, again, normally not my jam, but these women, Akenna and Kiki, let me know, okay, sci-fi can be for me. If none of these are something that you are comfortable with and you want to leave a recommendation for a badass heroine or what your definition is, leave one in below. I'm going to leave all of the other collaborators, all of their information for their videos down below. So please feel free to check out them as well. There's going to be a range of a spectrum of what badass heroines mean to these collaborators. Do me a favor, if there is a boxing emoji, leave them down below. So whatever you consider as your tool or your weapon of choice, leave that down below for me, and I'll talk to you all next time. Again, special thanks to Beccie from @BecceReads and all of the fellow collaborators in this video. Have a good day. Bye.